This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Welcome everybody to the Easthampton City Council Finance Committee for Thursday, January 30th. It's 5:30 p.m. Myself and Councillor Trill are here in person. Councillor Dunham is joining us remote. I hope you feel better soon, Councillor Dunham. Let's just get to it. So approval of minutes. I reviewed the minutes that you sent for the 22nd. They look good. Councillor Dunham, were you able to review those minutes?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Any notes? All right. Well, then I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes for January 22nd. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Councillor Dunham.
Aye.
Councillor Trill. Aye. I vote aye. Motion passes. The mayor is not here. There is no public here. Okay. We can get right to new business, and I'll start with the thing that I assume Emily is here for, which is the $20,000 appropriation from the reserve fund to fund the salary for a sustainability coordinator position at 34 hours per week for the remainder of fiscal year 2025.
Yes. So this was a new position that we created through City Council, I want to say maybe in the fall. And we had some discussion about where that position was going to be, whether it was going to fall in the planning department or fall in DPW. So after a lot of consideration, we felt like it was most appropriate that it fall in the DPW department because of the solar credits and just the various things that it's working with and dealing with.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So it just seemed like a better fit to be there. And it's more of a self-run position. Greg would obviously be the manager of this role, but this person really would be self-driven in their work. So, but with that, we really were unsure of how we were going to fund this position. We had some various options, like we've moved around responsibilities, within planning and stuff like that to kind of try to work things out. And yeah, again, it just seemed most appropriate that it fall in the DPW department. So the position will be a 34-hour position, and we did make a tentative offer to someone based on the funding being appropriated from City Council. So we did offer them a potential step 3, which was the 26 per hour, and they would be starting probably early March. So I think they're going to be a really good fit for the position.
Fantastic. Yeah. Councilors, do you have any questions on this? Councilor Denham?
Thank you, Director Russo. Just a quick couple of questions. Just for the public, right? Just so for public knowledge and things like that, how might have those responsibilities shifted? Like, what was that process, and kind of how does that now kind of align based on responsibilities between those split positions?
Absolutely. So our planning department had some really big shifts in the last, I want to say, year or two. Mm-hmm. But our previous conservation agent, Cassie Trigger, she was doing all the sustainability work as the conservation agent at 34 hours per week, and it was unsustainable. She couldn't keep up with that type of workload. And then she got an opportunity, to go do something else. So she ended up leaving, and we took that as an opportunity. We're like, okay, we really need to prioritize this work and break it out. So we ended up reducing the hours of the conservation agent back down to originally when we had created that position, it was an 18-hour a week position because in Easthampton, we really don't need a full-time conservation agent right now. So we reduced that back down to, I think it's about a 24-hour per week position, because we also put CPA underneath that position. So it's partially funded by CPA and partially general funded. So because of that reduction in hours for the conservation agent position and moving the responsibilities of the CPA from the senior planner over to the conservation agent, that alleviated some funding. It's just that now that funding is technically in the planning department, and it seemed to make more sense to put this in the DPW department. So we will get money back from that conservation position.
Great. And then if I can, Chair Peak, this is coming out of the general fund. Do we have the balance for the general fund and how this will be impacted?
It's coming out of the reserve fund.
I mean, reserve fund, sorry.
Actually, I apologize. I don't have that number in front of me. I wish that we had just like a floating spreadsheet that was always available because this is always a question that we have. But if I recall, we still have a pretty substantial balance in the reserve fund. I can be sure to, I'm sure either one of us, either myself, if you're more comfortable with that, or you, somebody could reach out to Hadel about that before we take a final vote. But I do think we're not, I don't think it's several more digits, I think, right now than 5. So I think we're okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to, for the public, so that would be helpful to have that information for I mean, I'm fine to vote. But I do think I would like to have that number for next Wednesday if we can.
Really makes sense. Yeah, I'll reach out to Hadel right after this meeting. That's it, Phil.
Just for clarification, so this $20,000 will get us to the end of this fiscal year. This position will be in the DPW budget next fiscal year?
Yes, it should be general funded next year.
Okay, just wanted clarity on that. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Then I would entertain a motion to, sorry, did I see a hand?
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to thank you, Director Russo. I think this was a conversation that we had right in the fall, and so it's great that this is moving forward. I think that these are areas that we're taking a lot of time looking at, and they're important to the city. And so appreciate you and DPW director and planning, et cetera, to really spend some time thinking about these positions and thinking about how to best not only utilize their time, but utilize the city budget, right? So appreciate all the work that you all have done around this.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? I'd entertain a motion to recommend to the full council the approval of this appropriation for $20,000 from the reserve fund to salary for the funding of a sustainability coordinator position.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor, Councillor Dunham,
Aye.
Councillor Trill.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank
And
you.
see you next Wednesday. Have a wonderful night.
Thanks. Have a great evening.
Nice weekend.
Yes. Okay. So the next new business we have is $100,000 from the CPA fund, undesignated fund balance, to Tasty Top Affordable Housing, which will be used for the building of 36 affordable housing units in phase 1 of the development. So I was present, and Councillor Dunham, I believe you were present on meets for the meeting, or the CPA meeting where this was discussed. So I think we were all expecting that Ava would be able to be here tonight, and then there was some wires got crossed. Our normal, I think she assumed that it would be our normal time, but on account of stuff anyway. So the basics of what is going on here, I think I can summarize. the developers at the Tasty Top project are going for a lot of federal grants, or not federal, state grants to support this work. And that state work, generally, the state wants to see that the municipality supports the project and has some skin in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that they initially were not actually going to, the sense I got was that this was something that they came to understand along the process. So they want to keep it, they wanted to request some money sort of as a matching fund, to go along with a more substantial amount that would be going from the state. I believe, if you can find it, that there was an email from on this topic that sort of went over a little bit of that their budget in the sheet that they had sent. They're looking at $6.2 million in low-income housing tax credit equity, and then about $5.9 million from the state low-income housing tax credit, and then $100,000 from us. So it's a relatively small share of their total budget. I think that the number $100,000 that they came to, one of the things that we discussed, sort of how did they arrive at that number? And I think that it was largely through looking at other projects that we had funded, sort of on a per unit basis, and trying to do something comparable. I do believe that on a per unit basis, we'd be putting a good deal less into this project than into some of the other things that the CPA has requested. So it's $100,000 towards a total of $18 million project after acquisition costs, construction costs, architecture, engineering, professional services, financing, what have you. This was approved by the CPA. Unfortunately, I had a professional conflict and I was not able to make that meeting, but my understanding is it was approved unanimously.
That was my question. Okay.
I can double check that, but that's my understanding. That is about the information that I have. I know that when we go to a public hearing on this, we'll be able to. Ava will be there, so if there's additional questions, we can either find that out or there's things we can ask in the meantime. But just
quick question.
Go ahead.
Was this a forecasted expense, or did this just kind of come up? I mean, was this something that we knew was gonna arise as a potential cost, or did this saying?
Yeah, I do know what you're saying, and unfortunately I don't have a great answer to it. I think that whenever we do one of these projects, they're going to be there's some expectation that the CPA is probably going to be doing something to support it.
It just shows that we have a vested interest to the state.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like some of these projects, what they had asked is like for money, like to do like a significant amount of the land acquisition or whatnot. And that's not really what's going on here. It's a relatively smaller share that we're funding than in some of the other projects that we had discussed. But I think that it largely is kind of you could say symbolic. I don't know if that's exactly the appropriate word.
No, but okay.
But the idea is that when you're looking at the state tax credits and things like that, there's a lot of projects applying for these things. And by the way, there's someone called Name Not Available raising your hand. I do see your hand. I just want to be like just talk for a second, and then I'll open it up to the public. That is sort of my understanding is that it's largely, for a project to be eligible for these things, the general understanding is that there needs to be some sort of sense that the city's got some skin in the games.
Thank you.
Okay, there's someone on Meets that has name not available. Would you like to say something?
Yes, this is Kathy Wazinski, Overlook Driving. I wanted to bring up a couple of different issues regarding this. I do not believe that we should be putting CPA funds into a for-profit business. And this developer specifically said during their approval process before the zoning board that they weren't going to be requesting CPA funds. And now they've got their approval. They've also had a significant conflict with the Conservation Commission over what amounts to pretty close to this amount of funds. It's $85,000 that he was basically yelling at them about last summer and still giving them grief about now. And this is not the only request. They said that they were going to come back for more for each phase of the development. I do not believe that we should be funding his profits.
Thanks, Kathy. I do think that that's an interesting. I need to go back and look and see what promises they made and the process, and that would be an interesting question for the developer. But that I think that's something that maybe we can make a note of for public hearing. I'd like to know sort of what developed along the lines.
Yeah, I'd like to know more details also.
In terms of the stuff with the Conservation Commission, I'm not overly worried about that stuff personally. I'm not telling anyone else how to feel. Just because, the CPA, if something grinds to a halt with conservation and funds aren't used, then they'll get clawed back. On CPA, that's something we're in the process of doing right now, is going to a lot of projects where the funds were not actually expended and saying, is this still a thing? Did it fall through? What's going on? And recouping money. So I'm not like, it's not like if for some reason it doesn't work out, then the money will come back to the CPA. But in the meantime, I do think that if this is something that, the city feels is going to be necessary to move this phase of the project forward, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. Like I said, on a per unit basis, I do believe this is a bit less money than what we've done on a couple other affordable housing developments, for whatever that's worth. Councillor Denham.
Yeah, was Sierra Vista, were they invited to this meeting?
That's a great question. I didn't personally invite them, but I think that I assume they were aware of it. I certainly will make sure that they are aware of the public hearing on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Yeah, I think that, affordable housing is important for our city. I've been in touch with folks in another apartment complex who their rent went up 40%. And they had 2 weeks to decide. I think it's things like this and the reason why we need affordable housing, because a lot of those people had to move out very quickly and need this. But I will say that I am disappointed that they aren't here today. And so I'm going to abstain from making a vote or a recommendation today because, this is a part of the process and this is the finance committee for city council. And I think that there are some questions that the community has and myself. And so I just don't feel comfortable kind of making a recommendation when they weren't here for whatever reason. I think they should have known that this was going forward to the finance committee.
I think that.
Yeah, I echo Councillor Denham's sentiments because I certainly want to know more details about this and then look into this further before I vote. I'd be willing to make a motion to send this to the council without any recommendation, if that's. I'd like to make a motion to send this to the council with no recommendation.
I want to second that, but Kathy put her hand up again,
Okay,
so
yeah.
I don't know if she is.
We'll let Kathy go.
Sure, Kathy, what's up?
I'm curious as to why we need to fast move it and just not hold it to the next finance committee.
Well, it's just that we already scheduled a public hearing for it for that date and paid for the advertising for that. So,
Well, that's probably not the best idea. That presumes a outcome.
well, noted, but it is what happened. So, I, uh, I just think that, you know, my assumption is that the developer is aware that meeting is there and they're going to be there and they're going to be able to answer the questions that the membership has. So,
So they get to once again.
I'm sorry,
So-
Kathy, we have a motion and a second on the table. I'm trying to be accommodating, but at this point, like, this isn't really a moment for, I think I would like to call the vote at this time. So, Councillor Denham?
So just to be clear, so I'll second that. I don't think I formally seconded it, but.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I just didn't formally do it. But as a discussion point, I do agree with Kathy, the resident, in regards to this. So that's what I'll say to that. I vote aye.
Vote aye. I think that makes sense. Okay, so we'll pass it forward without a recommendation, and if we can't get satisfactory answers at the public hearing, then we'll just have to continue the public hearing.
Mhm.
So until we feel like we understand it. Okay. One last thing is our budget. So was everyone able to review what Barb had sent us?
Can you just put it up on the screen so the public can see it? Is that possible?
I think so. Let me just
If anyone watches this.
have to log into my email on this computer, but I will do my best. Log out. Hi. Yeah, so I signed out to get into my email and it
Do you want me to share my screen,
uh
or do you
well
have it up? Are you frozen, or I think you're frozen, or I'm frozen. Oh. Can you
Hi,
hear me? Okay.
yeah. Would you mind just sharing it? Every time I try to access my email, it
Let me see if I can. So I'm going to grab this and pull it out. Because here's a separate screen. Okay. Let me come back. Oh, I think I need to be a co-host.
okay, I can probably make you a host. Or do you?
I don't turn off. More options. Full screen layout. Open pictures apply. I don't settings. No, it's not there.
Oh, I can make you a co-host.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, so I'll share my screen. Let me see, what is it? Actor. Oh man, come on. Hang on 1 second, sorry, it's showing up everything here.
It's all good.
One second. Account, Google, resolution, account. Well, it's not show. I have several things open, and so it's not showing me the screen that I want to open. It's just saying Google.
Oh, I think if you like break it out as a separate.
Yeah, that's what I did, but it's not.
Okay, well, we all have it up, right?
Yeah. That's weird. Let me see. Yeah, so if we have it up, I guess, but it's not. Yeah, it's not. It's not letting me. It's not showing me what it is. But let me. No. Are you there or are you gone?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. It's got very quiet. Sorry. No. No. Mm. Yeah, for some reason it's not showing me the screen to select. It's just showing me. Yeah.
Okay, well, we can do this for now, and I think, if anyone wants to follow along, I think they could probably get the idea.
Yeah. I'm not sure why it's not giving me the screen. It won't give me the screen to share.
Okay, so let's just go through this because it's actually it's not super complicated. If you look at the second appropriation, the proposed budget FY26, you'll see so council salaries are exactly the same, and those are determined by ordinance. So there's really nothing to talk about there. The clerk of the council is staying the same at 5,000. So again, that's per city ordinances. So
It should be 6,000.
for the clerk of the council,
Oh, sorry, clerk. Sorry, I thought you said. I heard council. My bad. My bad.
yeah, no, you're good. So there's really not much to talk about. City council advertising was $5,000 last year. Barb's recommending that we raise that to 5,500 because the ads just keep getting a little bit more expensive. So that, I mean, Barb's the one that posts those, so I sort of trust her instinct on that. So I don't have an issue. That doesn't feel unreasonable to me. Any thoughts on that? Okay. Legal expense, we have, it's interesting because it looks like in FY24 we actually ended up spending 10,000 because we had to appropriate some money, I believe. But so this year we've only spent 420 of the 2,000 so far, but it's possible that we'll spend a little bit more before the end of the year. But Barb's recommending keeping that at 2,000 for this fiscal year. That's fine with me. It's a really, really hard thing to really budget for, but I think in a good year, if nothing crazy happens, it should probably stay under 2,000, and we can always hope for one of those. Any thoughts on that, Councilor Denham?
No, I agree. I mean, I think will be some things coming. So.
Yeah. And then education and training. Is just getting bumped up a little from $2,160 to $2,385. Comes out to $265 per counselor, which again feels reasonable to me. I think that we don't always use all of this, but I think it's good to have it there because if we don't use it, it ends up just becoming free cash. But you'd like to be able to have people have the option. Like this year I did not attend MMA because it conflicted with some personal responsibilities, but it's nice to know that I could, and I could, request some reimbursement for that because it's not cheap. So it's nice to have the option, particularly with, this is an election year, so this time next year, there will probably be some new counselors who might want to access some of those resources. So I think that is reasonable. And it's not a massive departure from where we were before. So any thoughts on that line item? Okay. Well, so that is, that's the budget. So, let me just go back real quick to the original email. Barb was saying, so the I think that the process here would be Barb has a couple notes here that I didn't bring up, but the logic for bringing up the training budget slightly is that the MMA registration for this year has gone up to 265. So that's the basis for this, is to say it would be enough to send everyone to the MMA if they wanted to, or some other miscellaneous things if not everyone went, which feels reasonable. So, yes, Councilor Dunham.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And also it doesn't take into consideration room reservation or transportation. I mean, it's still a huge expense. And so this is really a minor thing that within the budget, given what counselors still have to pay out of pocket in order to be able to connect with other counselors, see what they're doing around opportunities around the state in terms of programs and initiatives and things like that we can go and we can learn from. So I think this is really, a minor, even though it's not minor, it's an expense, but I given what we actually would have to pay in order to participate, I think is small.
Yeah, no, I agree. One year I tried to do MMA and I tried to just crash on a buddy's couch to save on, because the hotels in Boston are not cheap, but it didn't end up working out because the commute was a pain, and I agree. It's definitely a commitment to go to that thing. So yeah, totally agreed with you on all points. So I guess Barb's saying that she will be meeting with her budgets and the mayor's finance staff on Tuesday the 4th at 10 a.m. and she's willing to represent us there. I'm going to try and make that just because it feels like a thing I should do. But if that goes through and everything's fine, then we'll be in a position that we can vote on this on the 5th, as long as everyone's feeling good about it. So, any other questions on this item? Okay, I would entertain a motion to recommend this budget to the full council.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
That lag is never not funny. Okay. Okay, all in favor. Councilor Dunham?
Aye.
Councilor Terrell?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Motion passes. That is everything we have on our agenda. So unless I'm forgetting something, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor.
Aye.
Councilor
Aye.
Terrell?
Aye.
I vote aye. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.